Pre-show. This is the channel where you can see every single video game in order of release. We play everything starting in 1971, and we're currently in December 1982. All consoles, all handhelds, all computers, and all arcade games everywhere, every region. Welcome to the live show, where I'm open for questions, comments, concerns, criticisms. Howdy, Brad. He's on time. I know we keep a very strict schedule around here. Right on the dot is when we start. And there is no gaming for hours upon hours. It's a 30-minute block. Oh, yes, you bet it is, Marshall. And you know what? When I first played this, I thought the same thing after the more... I actually played Dragonfire after Adventure. I was into wanting to play some more fantasy games on the Atari 2600. And my first thought whenever I saw someone else playing Dragonfire was, it just doesn't have the same depth as Adventure. You know, I was a little hoity-toity about it. But then when I played it myself, I realized it doesn't have to have as much depth as Adventure. It's incredible. It's so fun. Oh, this is the very first one, Charlie. We haven't even seen the ColecoVision one yet. No, yes, we're open for a lot longer than 5 minutes. Oh, and I bet this publisher, Magic, had some really great quality games. Right now, you know, at the end, before the crash in North America, yeah, it's too bad. It reminds me of the Vectrex. An awesome console, just the timing wasn't so good. But yeah, they had very, very well done games. And you were there, if I'm correct, Marshall. You were selling at the store right now in December 1982. Are you the one who posted all those dealership ads on Atari Mania? Because every now and then I come across games that they show the dealer displays. Oh, that's so cool, Marshall. Yeah, pretty much everything. And at this point, we've already seen this is going to be the 13th Magic game that we've seen so far. Really, really good stuff. The videos that are behind me are all random, so it's coming through with, you can see the different consoles. But it's funny, we got a few consoles that are the rivals of the Atari behind me, but not really outputting as much as the Atari 2600. Not even close. I've really been having a great time checking out the games that we see from Japan that most people here didn't realize existed. And at this time, I mentioned it in the last episode, that as I'm going through databases, there's so many games that aren't documented are found because I guess they don't consider the type-in games or the early cassette games as important or pertinent, because in the United Kingdom, they cataloged everything. They have everything on the ZX Spectrum. And I mean, like, everything that was ever typed in a magazine. If you want to play it all, you can. But on Japanese magazines, basic type-in games, you really can't find all those games. Pac-Man for the 2600 and Demon Attack. Wow, like a movie line. That's so amazing. Yeah, and I'm with you there, Paul. But just because they had so much quantity, the Atari 2600 was outputting way more games than anything else. And it's very impressive that it started in 1977 and it's still going. Well, I mean, now we're playing Atari. As I'm speaking, before we go back in time, oh, that's awesome. I need to check that one out, Brian. Something modern. I'll just pretend I don't know what an Xbox is. In December 1982, we had no idea what that was. All right, showtime. Hey, it's Chronologically Gaming, the only channel that's perpetually retro because we're playing every video game in order of release, the video game channel for video game archivists. Let's go back and play the games released in the beginning of December 1982. And we were last in Japan, checking out the Dragon and Princess game that is so cool. It's very, very interesting. If you haven't seen it yet, go check out that video. All right, let's go back to North America, but see what's on the television.
This new magic game is mine now. Mine!
Oh my gosh, it talks. There's the prince.
I'll name it Dragonfire.
Is that what we were really supposed to look like? I love how they putting the cartridge in. What was that? That wasn't gameplay. That looked like it's a fabrication. How'd they do that?
Imagic's Dragonfire is for Atari 2600 and in television.
It's time to play Dragonfire, released brand new on the Atari 2600. Let's check it out. We are not going to see that other version that you saw in the commercial because this is the very first one. Here's the box for Dragonfire. Not to be confused with Dragonfire that we've already seen on the Apple II in May 1981. This one is the 186th video game that we've seen on the Atari 2600 so far. That is a lot of Atari. And this is by Imagic. You can tell because of the glossy sheen, the shiny silver. This is the 13th game that we've seen by Imagic so far, and the 9th that we've seen them release on the Atari 2600, bringing us bangers like Atlantis, Cosmic Arc, and Demon Attack. And this is the newest. Dragonfire is flipping amazing. At least the box is. Did they do a model, or it looks like maybe clay design for the front? So cool. All right, so we flip it over the back. They have a couple screenshots because this is a two-screen game. Dragons rule. The young prince hopes to defeat them, but first he must reclaim the king's treasure. One player directs it, and two players can take turns crossing the bridge. Do you ever defeat the dragon? I don't think you ever did, but it said that on the back of the box. Here's the other artwork we have for Dragonfire. We have the reconstructed, either shiny or even more shiny, at least making up the fact that if you don't have a really good scan of the game, you can use those. And there's the back of the box. We also have the ad you would have seen in magazines at the time. Dan Sonnet thought he could take the heat. But no matter... What's the matter, Dan? You having trouble keeping up with the new game Dragonfire? It looks like they're boasting it's very, very fast. And it is true. It is very fast. There's the cartridge for Dragonfire. Has the Imagic look, making sure it looks as blocky as the original Atari cartridges. I love it. With an example of the screenshot, here's the manual for Dragonfire. So this one is pretty cool. If you've never played or seen a Dragonfire game, the manual is going to tell us a little bit how it works, with even story. Dragons have driven the royal court from the castle. We are lost, laments the king. Nay, not so. They even have Old English for the story. Oh man, I'll let you read that at your leisure. Be aware of the dreaded Dragonfire. So cool. All right, so the objective is reach the king's treasure. The prince runs across the bridge and must dodge fireballs tossed by dragon hatchlings. He nimbly ducks under the high ones and leaps over the low ones. Fortunately, the fireballs can't hurt the prince if he runs back into the tower at the right end of the bridge. When the prince reaches the left side of the bridge, he arrives in the storeroom. So that's the second screen. He's inside a hiding place and he can return at any time. The storeroom's filled with beautiful objects and a fierce dragon whose very breath can cost the prince one of his 7 precious chances. 7 lives, that's very generous. When the dragon looks the other way, the prince runs to each object and retrieves it for the king. And when he's cleared out the room, the way to escape appears. He runs to it, reappears on the bridge, ready for another daring raid. And the game continues like that. It is classic video game gameplay loop. So you help the prince trying to get as much treasure as possible. The gameplay right here above my head is moving the prince around with the joystick, but you can duck in a video game. Not the first time we've seen that. One of the very first times we ever saw it was on the TRS-80 color computer with a Berserk clone. Imagine Berserk, but being able to duck in the game. One of the first true platformers was Pickaxe Pete, where you could duck, and Pickaxe Pete was pretty nimble on the Magnavox Odyssey 2 and Video Pack. So you can run, jump, dodge, duck, dive, and dodge all those fireballs. Cross the bridge safely. You reach the treasure room, as it says in the top left. screenshot showing you what everything looks like. The dreaded dragons at the bottom. You have to get all the objects and try to get to from the bottom left of the room to the top, to the bottom right of the room to the top left. The game's over when the prince has been hit 7 times, but you just keep on going. Keep on doing the loop and get as many points as you can. There's the score for all the objects. Why does it show the number of objects? Because you have to pick up every object in the room before the exit appears. So it's not like you can pick and choose and go for the high scoring ones. It's just, I guess, to let you know what points you'll get when you grab them. So over here on the left side, we got the game variations. It's not very robust when you think of the grand scheme of everything that you could play on the Atari right now. You can do a 1 or 2 player game, but you're going to take turns if you do a 2-player game. And all you're doing is picking between the difficulty, whether you're going to start on Dragon 1, 3, 5, or 7. They have some tactical tips down there in the bottom left. I love tips, and I'm so glad they put these in the manuals. It makes me think of, as we progress through time, we're going to have less tips and tricks in the manuals, and they're going to be reserved for game manuals themselves or in magazines. They won't put them here in when you first buy the game. Yes. And Brad's saying he still plays this game now and then, and I totally agree with you. Go for it. All right, so that is it. Way to go, Magic. I like the manual already. So I have different alternate versions. It was released in PAL regions, and then I have a hack called Cheese 98. We're not going to play that one. Let's pop in the original Dragonfire. This is by Bob Smith and a Magic, the beginning of December 1982. This is the 5th time we've seen anything by Bob Smith. Way to go, Bob. Bringing us games like Video Pinball, Sleazy Adventure, Riddle of the Sphinx, and Star Voyager. Now, I first want to show off the game mode for this because it has something a little different. If I switch the gameplay to the first round with 2 players and then reset, watch what happens. As I begin the game, if I die, it doesn't switch to the second player. Most of the time when we do hot seat arcade style gameplay, it switches every time you die to the second player. But this one, it only switches whenever you have a victory. So if I complete one of the first sets, like if I go to the end, let's see if I can do it really quick with the easy green dragon. Now it goes to the second player, so I got to get the second controller out, and the second player now takes over. It is just slightly different and not as usual when you think of a game that's going to be 2-player hot seat multiplayer. All right, so let's go in. I'm going to switch out the game modes going all the way through game mode 4. So I want 1-1. Let's reset and play Dragonfire. Begins with screen 1. I can run, duck, I can jump, I can duck and jump at the same time. It's a very low jump, but if you just want to barely dodge something. Then when you go to the next screen, just like the first screen, you can go back in to the right to hide. So right now I've hidden myself in the bottom right, and I can get out of there, and then the dragon starts blowing fire. We have to dodge. And if we go through that, it changes the color to the next round. Just make it to the other side, and then you take on the merciless yellow dragon. When you pick up all the treasures, the exit appears in the top left, and you make your way up there, and then keep going. Go, go, go. And if you look at the bottom, you can see my number of lives that I have left. It responds very, very well. If you make it that far, now you take on the incredibly difficult blue dragon. It couldn't possibly get faster and worse than this. Once you get all the treasures, move on and keep doing the gameplay loop. The very age-old trope of I want to see how much more will happen next, that's what this game does. It's the same concept, though. 2 screens, just like you see. Now we're taking on the ridiculously terrible purple dragon. Man, it's firing off so much, but just make yourself to the exit, and then you're good. Notice I can also hide over here. It's right behind my head. There you go. If you want to go all the way to the left, and then after that, if you can be fast enough, notice that we've sped up, but now we're taking on the red dragon. There's no way the dragons could get any faster than that, but we must press forward and keep going. And then, oh my gosh, we're going with the gold dragon. The gold dragon is insanely fast. It feels like the game's in fast forward, and I love it. Look at him. He's trying to juke us down at the bottom. Now all I gotta do is make my way. Okay, good. No, it couldn't get any faster than that, right? Let's see, we got our last life. Quickly. Oh my gosh. And then we take on, is that the brown dragon, I guess? The brown dragon is too fast. And then it repeats that loop after that. So this one is, the first round at least, is an arcade platformer, the 64th arcade platformer that we've seen so far on Chronologically Gaming, and the 14th that we've seen for home consoles. Games like Monkey Shine or Pickaxe Pete on the Odyssey 2 and VideoPack, Donkey Kong's on the Atari 2600 and the Intellivision and the ColecoVision. There's also Fast Eddie, Beauty and the Beast by Imagic, Monster Mansion that's on the Epoch Cassette Vision in Japan, and Airlock, which I shudder to remember Airlock. So that's the first game mode. So the first game mode plays like a platformer. Control is so good. You can tell that this is a polished game. They spent a lot of time refining it, making it a well-done release. And so at first glance, you see the simplicity and you think there's not much to it. But when you play it yourself, it is remarkably addicting. It is so much fun to see how many times you can keep going and stay alive to see the next screen and have it go faster and faster. You find yourself thinking, I couldn't play the game any faster than I'm playing now. But then you try it again and you realize, oh, okay, I can play faster than this. I'm just going to die on purpose. There you go. It is so much fun. At this point, I've only seen about one game that's similar to this. It was on the Sharp MZ line of home computers called Knight's Castle, where you were moving from the left to the right rather than the right to the left in the platforming stage, but they switch it up with different screens. So check out Knight's Castle if you want to see something that's kind of close to this, but not really close to this. I like it also similar to a game called Hunchback that we're going to see a lot later. It's pretty different from that. Also, to remember, this cartridge is only a 4 kilobyte cartridge in size. 4 kilopower brought us Dragonfire. It is awesome. All right, let's go in again. I want to see more dragon and dodge more fire. So much fun. Love it. The medieval video game theme is also refreshing because we've seen so much science fiction up to this point that to play in a fantasy action game like this is awesome. Look at all these magic lamps. I'll take all of them, dragon. Possibly getting their inspiration from Smaug of J.R.R. Tolkien fame. You know, having to run away, grab treasure from the dragon. But this one just plays very well. It's so much fun. 4 kilopower. I'm gonna flip out the first time we see a cartridge that's 1 megabyte. I don't think it's ever gonna happen because it just seems so far away right now. But I did mention when we played on the Atari 5200, it was 16 kilobytes. That's insane. Go, go, go. Man, so much fun. I love it just going faster and faster and faster and faster. So this game is going to be released on lots of systems. Imagic is doing that for a lot of their initial releases. This is the first time we've ever seen Dragonfire, but we're going to see this on other consoles, other computers. This is the beginning of all the Dragonfire on Chronologically Gaming. Lots more to come. Go, go, go. Man, it's so fun. Keep going. And I'm looking over the chat. We already have ratings being thrown out for if you were to rate Dragonfire right now, its initial release on the Atari 2600, how would you rate it against all the other games that are for all other consoles available right now in December 1982? I see a 5-star for the 2600. Oh, that's true. If you're rating this for all the games on the Atari 2600, not all consoles. But yeah, 4.5 overall. Brad saying 4 stars for everything you can play on all home consoles right now. I love how I'm trying to figure out the pattern too on the second screen. That's awesome. So I've got a 3.5, a couple 4s. Ooh, 4, 4.5 still. Gotta love the dragon theme. Oh man, you get faster too. It's not just the dragon. It makes you feel a little more OP when you can outrun them. That's awesome. Go, go, go. Yeah, that cheap shot at the end of the bridge. And there's my quick play here on the live show, or your first taste of what Dragonfire would have been like. You probably would have died a lot the first time too. Of all the games you could play across all home consoles right now, I do not consider this a broken game of console games. Now in the 1-star range, I don't consider this a bad game. For all the games you could play on all home consoles right now, I don't consider this an average game that you could play on all home consoles right now. This is excellent. This is a top-tier video game. Yes, And that's true. Curtis is mentioning the other versions. Yeah, this first version doesn't have other little features and things they add. We're going to be seeing those as we press forward here on Chronologically Gaming. But yeah, I'm starting the ratings at 4 stars. I had some people go to 4.5, and some people just mentioned 5 stars if it was everything only for the Atari 2600. This is pretty good. Dragonfire is awesome. I had a lot of fun with it. If you twisted my arm, I might say 4.5 stars just because of revisiting it. I just realized how much fun I have playing the game. It is a delight. It is very simplistic, but it's polished. The control is done very well, and you have a fun time with it. I see Mark throwing out 4.5 stars. Yeah, score attack fun. Oh yes, easy to play. Yeah, let's do it. 4.5 stars for Dragonfire on the Atari 2600 here in December 1982. It's that good. Top tier console gaming right now in December 1982. All right, let's see what our next game is. Also for the Atari 2600, the amazing, the infamous E.T. the Extraterrestrial. We've already played this. We actually seen this 2 times. It was on one episode where we were just going through the artwork and the manual, and then we had another episode where we've seen the game already. And the reason why we didn't go in order here on Chronologically Gaming and play the game is because the creator of Indiana Jones and E.T. the Extraterrestrial, Howard Scott Warshaw, was here live on the show playing the games with me. So this game, I will include the link of us playing with Howard Scott Warshaw, has already happened. And just so you know, this is the placeholder of where we would have played E.T. That's how much of the gap was, or how many games we played in between Indiana Jones, or at least between 1 month and when E.T. was actually released. But this is it. This is the release of E.T. lumped in with all these other games that we've seen so far. Oh yeah, and if you didn't remember, Howard Scott Warshaw rated E.T. very, very highly. And he can do whatever he wants because anyone that's a guest on the show can rate the games as they see fit. All right, so we're not going to play this one since we already checked out E.T. unless we wanted to try for maybe an Easter egg or something fun. What the heck? Since this when it came out, we'll play a little of E.T. because I don't think we... Oh, we have the music too. You can see the game mode switching at the top. If you go for the higher game modes, it's more difficult. We'll go with game mode 1. We go fly in, and yes, I believe in the ET. We have ways to warp appearing at the top. So if I push our magic button, I warp to the next screen down. And if I want to get out, we just go pull my way up out of here. Lose some energy. Nope, not yet. Nope, not yet. Giving you your first experience with E.T., the Extraterrestrial. That's right. Brian brings up a really good point. If you want to enjoy E.T., you have to have the manual, or even better than that, the tips and tricks on the best way to play E.T. because there's a lot packed in this game for an extremely short development time, and getting this to market as quickly as it is, this is so ambitious. So it has every right to have a higher rated score, but look, this is what you're usually expecting from E.T. Just continue to fall down pits. Wait for it. There it is. Don't hold the button down. All right, let's get out of here. Oh, I found one of the places where the spaceship will come back. That's so cool, yep. And then Marshall's bringing up when people played this the first time live in the store. I wonder then how they got people to buy the game. If you were able to play it in the store, you knew what you were going to get before purchasing, right? All right, we have already played E.T., so I just was going to do a little bit since we're here in December 1982. It is so close to the holiday season, too. All right, and with that, let's see what our next game is after this commercial break.
I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid.
They got a million toys at Toys R Us that she can play with.
I don't want to grow up.
The young and the old.
They got the best for so much less you really flip your head.
Now at Toys R Us, the new
There it
E.T.
is.
cartridge only $33.97.
Oh, E.T.'s at
LPT
Toys
phone
R
home
Us.
with the Atari
Oh, the
video
Atari
game system for
2600?
$129.84.
Only
So go to Toys R Us
$129.84.
and have a blast.
More games, more toys, oh boy!
So exciting. There you go. It is Toys R Us advertising the Atari 2600. What's the latest game that you could play on your Atari 2600? Well, you just saw a few of them, and this is the next, Egomania. I am not familiar with Egomania, so we're going to check it out together. Here's the box as we peer at the cartridge as if we're going to buy the game in the store in December 1982. This game is only available on the Atari 2600, the 187th video game for the Atari 2600 or VCS. To put that in perspective, compared to all the other consoles right now, the closest consoles that are pumping out video games aren't even close to the numbers that are on the Atari 2600. This is the 187th game that we've seen so far. The Intellivision only has 50 games we've seen so far. The Magnavox Odyssey 2 has 42 games we've seen so far. In Europe, the Philips Video Pack has 45 games so far. The Enterton VC4000 in Germany has 34 games so far. The Bally Astrocade has 33 games so far. The Emerson Arcadia 2001 has 28 games. The ColecoVision only has 11 that we've seen so far. And the CreativeVision, another really obscure console, only has 10 games so far. That's why if Atari is failing in the console space financially, then everybody else is going to fail financially because, I mean, come on, 187 games, that's insane. All right, so this is Egomania, another release by US Games, the sixth time we've seen this company bringing us games like Towering Inferno, Space Jockey, Commando Raid, Sneak and Peek, and Word Zapper. And the front of this box is kind of like the other games by Egomania, where it's very difficult to describe. We got eggs, and there's a bear stuck in honey, possibly the egg yolk is what I'm guessing. I can't make heads or tails of it. Let's flip it over in the back. Doesn't this make you want to buy the game right now in December 1982? Egomania is a 1-to-4 player, full-color game designed to be on your Atari Video Computer System or Sears Video Arcade. They're still selling Sears Video Arcade systems right now? Go, Sears, go. Look at that. It's for use with paddle controllers. So put that Atari joystick away, get the paddle controllers out. And we don't need to see everything about the box. Let's see what other artwork we have for that one. Yes, right? Wow, Brian threw out the inflation for the Atari. That's intense. $427 today? Oh my gosh. So besides the box for Egomania, we have the ad you would have seen in magazines with new games like Egomania, new directions that reach out to the entire family, and new ideas like the consumer satisfaction guarantee. US Games assures dealer profits in 1983. You can't make this stuff up. Man, if only they knew the truth. And then we also have the cartridge. Looks slightly different than the other ones on the Atari. Every third-party publisher wants to get a new look for their cartridge, something flashy. We just saw it with the Magic 2. And then we also have the screenshot. How do we play Egomania? Tell us, US Games, tell us. This one's done by James Wickstead Design Associates. The fifth time we've seen this company. They comprise Todd Marshall, Wes Traeger, Henry C. Will IV. So the 4-player mode sounds amazing. It really isn't that impressive because it's still hot seat multiplayer arcade style action. You don't all 4 get to play at the same time. Even though that's possible, 4 paddles going at the same time works. We've seen Video Olympics, among others, on the Atari. Egomania is a 1-to-4 player, full-color game. A strangely colored feathered fowl is bent on bombing your bedeviled blue bear with dozens of even stranger-colored eggs. Your only defense is catching those falling orbs in your hat before they break and cause a real mess. If you succeed in catching an entire wave, you'll get the delightful opportunity to get even and fire them back at the turkey. You'll be dazzled by his reaction. So this means we get to play Avalanche, but then throw everything back up. That's awesome. Otherwise, the yolk's on you because you can see at the bottom, the yellow starts to build up, and that's the egg yolk for the amount of eggs that you drop. There's the setup instructions, including making sure your system's turned off. We have difficulty switches that just make the hat on top of the bear small or big. And you can see we can do 1, 2, or 3, 4-player games, but you all got to take turns. You don't get to play at the same time. There's the controls and game variations. And for scores, it's usual table, but I don't know. For these style of games, I wouldn't be paying attention to the score. Just keep going. I mean, if you last long enough, then you're going to rack up a high score. All right, there you go. Catch the harried bear back and forth, and then we got some playing hints right here. That's great. And then for throwing everything back, timing and accuracy during the Egomania waltz is critical. And of course, look for more games from US Games. We're getting close, I think, to the end of US Games, but I won't try to spoil anything. Let's pop in that cartridge and play Egomania. US Games in the beginning of December 1982. We got a little ditty to start us off. I love it. So this one is a ball and paddle style game, the 197th ball and paddle video game that we've seen on Chronologically Gaming on all systems. It's another cartridge that is 4 kilobytes in size, 4 kilopower. And we can switch the difficulty. Look at this little bowl or hat at the top. Let's make a big hat, one-player game, and let's do it. Oh, look at those silky smooth paddle controls. Why are the eggs green? Oh, and also, we're used to Avalanche-style games giving multiple paddles to catch. We have one paddle to catch. If we miss, or it goes past the paddle, it calls it a lose, and then you can see the yolk's on us. See that? Right there. You just miss one, and it raises it up. At least it looks like the bird at the top is dancing to the music or in time with the music. It's a pretty impressive color, the amount of colors they got on the bird. And I'm curious if they spent a long time on that, because that's pretty rare to see the Atari 2600 game look like that. Once you make one mistake, though, that's it. This is a variant of Avalanche that we first saw in the arcades. The 15th video game on all systems that's a variant of Avalanche, including Avalanche on the arcade and on the Atari home computer. So this is the third variant that we've seen on home consoles. So only 3 games are played like this on home consoles. There's Kaboom by Activision, there's Lost Luggage by Apollo, and then we've seen others on home computers like Popcorn, Starship Chameleon, and Ketchum on the Coco, and then Chicken, which is really, really good. Chicken's one of the best ones on the Atari home computer. All right, go in again. Gosh, you have to be extremely precise. Kaboom felt like it was a little bit nicer. Now I'm getting tons of yolk. I don't know if it's going to let me throw any... It's not going to let me throw any eggs if I have yolk all the way up to my face. Notice the... Okay, it looks like when it's rising up, we have the yolk blinking, but whenever it gets to the top, it looks solid color from there. All right, here we go. Ready? Nope. Maybe that's what they're teaching us, Pal Puck. The cholesterol levels of the egg. Are we still? We're still able to go with our little bowl. That's too funny. All right, so even though it's nothing but yolk, the yolk is on us, literally. I want to try to get revenge on this bird. And that's true, Mark. It looks and sounds very nice. The game is just very, very simple, simplistic. If you want to play a game that's paddle controlled like an Avalanche game on a home console, there's really not that much out there, but everything that's out there is better. Kaboom's better, Lost Luggage is better. And it's very simple. Ready, set, hit it. All right, ready? It is like a waltz. How many eggs can I shoot? So it turns into a fixed shooter. That's awesome. So cool. Can we do more? Okay, no. Then it goes back. So it's essentially 2 game modes. It's not just Avalanche. You also have that brief fixed shooter mode. And the other plus is the music. There is not a lot of music playing on home console games right now. At least as much as this game is. No, didn't get that one. Very fun. So yeah, I would say because the second game mode, it has more merit than just this. But still, I would still say Kaboom though is Kaboom and Lost Luggage would be a better game overall. If they maybe added something more robust with the second mode with the fixed shooter, because all it is it's more like a target shooting or target practice. Try to time it and get the best shot in. So we already got 1 rating. Brian's throwing out 3 stars. Of all the games you can play on all home consoles right now, 3 stars is basically saying this is very average for everything up to this point. Oh, if only we could flip the bird. No, we don't get to do that, Paul. Mtisky saying 3 stars are pretty average for all the games you could play right now, too. Another thing that would be a plus is if you could play with multiple people at a time. It's 4-player, but you're going to have to take turns. And we got 2.5 to 3. Mark says 3 eggs. I love it. Curtis is saying 3 as well. 4 stars from Jeremiah. Very nice. Every now and then when we have higher ratings than everyone else, usually it's because you have this game. And the reason I say that is most people that had video game consoles had only a handful of games, and they played those games over and over and over again, so you have more of an affinity to those titles. Here on Chronologically Gaming, we're very spoiled being able to see and play everything that was available, and so the way that we're judging the games is possibly more harsh because we're not sitting here and forced to play only a certain selection of games. And then Charlie's throwing out 3 stars too. Man, that music is pretty good though. All right, there you go. That's Egomania. Yes, Egomania is an all right time. I have no issues with Egomania. However, the simplistic gameplay is something we've seen before, and the Avalanche variants we've seen before. And while it is musical and whimsical and colorful, I wouldn't rate it any higher than 3 stars. I'm going to go pretty average for all the games you could play across all home consoles at this point. Oh, nice. Thanks, Jeremiah, for throwing that one out. All right, there you go. And that's where we got to put all the video game playing on pause. This was December 1982, and we're still in just the beginning of December 1982. I really appreciate everyone that's here live right now for the show to check out all these video games and rate them all as if it was your very first time to see and play all these games. Next time on Chronologically Gaming, we're going to read the 2nd issue of Electronic Fun with Computers and Games. That's it for today, and like I always say, great video game doesn't have to be endless possibilities, open world exploration, and more features than you can count. Sometimes a great video game is just a polished arcade score attack action game. Hey everybody, thanks for checking out the channel and joining me on my quest to play every single video game in order of release. We'll be streaming live every weekday at 9 p.m. Central, so join us and let us know if we missed any games along the way. This video would not be possible without Launchbox, RetroArch, and MAME. Tell all your friends there's some crazy guy named Chronologically Gaming trying to play every single video game. We have links down below that'll send you to places like our Discord and Patreon, and one that says all the video games we've ever played. If you go there, it's a list of everything, and you can click right to the game you want to see. Chronologically Gaming is the name to look for. We are perpetually retro, and we will catch you next time.